Is this the group B?
Yes.
Prabhat Singh ji. This is Suresh Rohila. Good afternoon.
I think we are on the right group. Good afternoon. This is Atya Kaple from Niri.
Hi, Ataji. Good afternoon. Thanks for responding. So there were so many links. I was just trying to see whether I was in the right place.
I think this is the one even I found. But I don't see anyone, any of the other speakers other than you and me here.
Atyaji, nice connecting with you remotely.
Yeah, hello.
I follow your work very religiously, and I am so compliments for the work you do. Yeah.
Thank you. That's so nice of you.
And
I can see.
Rakesh ji is a dear friend. You know, we have worked closely in the past also. So I would love to follow up with you. I think my colleagues contacted you recently for some information because we are doing some work with Namami Gange.
Hmm.
I would get in touch with you separately on that.
Sure.
So, आप और विद्यार्थी जी चेयर करेंगे ना, कोई सेशन है कोई दिस इज
हाँ, तो विद्यार्थी जी तो दिख नहीं रहे मुझे.
अच्छा, प्रोफेसर शंकर का कोई आइडिया है? वो है क्योंकि मैं गलती से शायद हाइड्रोजियोलॉजी वाले ग्रुप में चला गया था, वहां पर एक्टिविटी वो सेम टाइम में पैरेलल सेशन है शायद.
Yes, there are two parallel sessions. So has that started?
Yes, I think over there they announced Venkatesh Dutta. Then I thought that I was not in the correct group. Then I moved out from that group.
So here I cannot see Professor Shankar, Mohan, Rajesh Kumar Pandey. I think I saw the name. No.
Rajesh Kumar Pandey ji might be the SPMG. Somebody has joined, I think, SMCG. SMCG.
That is Tagore ji.
Namaste,
Hello
namaskar,
sir.
ma'am.
Namaste. How are you sir?
Fine, ma'am.
तो
Tagore ji,
आप
namaste.
रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं?
नमस्कार सर, कैसे हैं सर?
हम लोग बस नए नए प्लेटफॉर्म बदलते रहते हैं, हम वहीं मिल जाते हैं कहीं ना कहीं.
अभी कुछ समय पहले आपके साथ ही था. 2 मिनट.
नहीं, वो दूसरा अभी सुमिता ने स्टार्ट किया, मैं तो अभी पहुंचा हूँ मैं यहाँ भी.
Namaskar to all. I'm Professor P.K. Singh. Madam Atya.
हेलो सर.
Hello. And Suresh sir हैं. Suresh sir भी आ गए हैं. नमस्कार
हाँ जी.
सर.
इन पर्सन नहीं आ पा रहा हूँ, सॉरी, बट रिमोटली कनेक्टेड.
Oh, I mean, we love you so much. Even if you are remotely connecting with us, we have so much respect for you. We are feeling privileged once you have joined. Your, I mean, well wishes are required for Varanasi. I will invite you in person to Varanasi because we have to work very closely and we have to implement that. Dr. Vidyarthi from CPCB is, I mean, we are just waiting for him. Otherwise, if it takes longer time, Madam Atya, you can start the session.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have only one speaker. टैगोर जी, आप ये SMCG से आप बोलेंगे?
Mic is off. Sorry. Thank you.
आप म्यूट पे हैं सर.
Setting the context on not only.
जी मैम.
हाँ, ठीक है.
So to take the discussion forward, I
There
would like to
are three of us.
टैगोर जी यूपी से नहीं, आप पूरा गंगा बेसिन में बोल दीजिए आज,
on hydro in our.
क्योंकि 5 स्लॉट्स खाली हैं स्पीकर्स के अभी लगता है.
सर आप सब इस सीनियर लोग बैठे हुए हैं सर, इसमें क्या है विशेष, हम लोगों का तो है ही नहीं. सिंपल
सबसे बड़ी बात है कि आप लोगों को सफिशिएंट टाइम है और पूरा विचार करके हमें बनारस के लिए एडवाइस करिए कि ये वरुणा के लिए हम लोग इन्वायरमेंटली, और मैडम तो नीरी से हमें काफ़ी ये मिलता रहा है, हमें क्या करना चाहिए. वी हैव ए कंटेमिनेटेड जोन and we want to, I mean, improve upon that. So, I mean, great many programs are going on, but then society cannot wait for that. So we need to take stepped, actions. So I expect that what kind of good suggestion we can give as academic institutions or learned institutions. So that is our challenge. So I hand it over to you, and Chairman CPCB is, Dr. Vidyarthi is there. So I very much hope that you people will be giving us a really considered a step-wise action plan for us in River Varuna. Thank you. And I go in the listening wing now. Hand it over to you now, please.
Maybe somebody can call Dr. Vidyarthi.
Hello. Madam, are you audible?
Yes, yes.
Hello. Good evening, all of you.
Good evening. We can hear you.
Okay, ma'am. Basically, my additional project director was engaged in different meetings, so today I'll present to regarding the option for the health restoration of river Varuna. As title is provided by the organizer. All of you know what is the history of the Ganga Conservation Mission. Ganga Action Plan is started in 1985, and now in 7th October 2016, an authority notification has been notified by the Government of India, Ministry of Jal Shakti, on 7th October 2016. This is the various process of the Ganga missions. And under the authority notification, some institutional setup was constituted in the authority notification. First, under the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, National Ganga Council, and second, the Honorable Minister of the Jal Shakti, Empower Task Force. And third is the National Mission for Clean Ganga, and state level, State Ganga Committee under the chairmanship of the Chief Secretaries, concerned states. And district level, a district Ganga committee has been also constituted in the authority notification. This is about the state mission for clean Ganga. State mission, SMCG, basically SMCG is the extended arm of the National Mission for Clean Ganga for the implementation of the Namami Ganga program with coordination with all executive agencies. And State Ganga Committee is also SMCG also as a secretariat, working as a secretariat for the Namami Ganga program. And this is a very common. Everybody is know regarding the river ecosystem, so I don't want to explain about this. First of all, today the seminar is organizing on the river health. So first of all, we should be understand what is the river health and how many components are rivers. So this is the all components to be without the all these components, river health can't be defined. So suppose a healthy river catchment should be healthy. Either river should be flow and quality of the water should be so very large number of the water quality should be in the river, and groundwater should be good conditions, and meandering should be in the river. And biota means aquatic life should aquatic and terrestrial life to be sustained, and floodplain should be also healthy, and quantity of the water should be also in the healthy rivers, and tributaries should be in the healthy rivers. This is all components to be covered in the under the river health mission.
Tagorji, 1 minute. I just want to confirm from the organizers whether this is being recorded. I can see the record button, but it hasn't changed its status. So somebody from the organizing team, can you confirm whether this is being recorded or not?
I think nobody is recording.
While joining a call, it did show recording. While I'll just confirm and tell you.
I think maybe we should just continue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
No, no. So, Namami Ganga program it's a broad vision for the river regenerations. River should be viral dhara, nirmal dhara, geological entity, and ecological entity as a vision of the Namami Ganga program. This is various steps has been taken under the Namami Ganga programs, like sewerage infrastructure is developing, solid waste management also, industry pollution abatement, and rural sanitation and water quality monitoring, and riverfront ghat and tributary is also developing under the Namami Ganga program, and urban river management plan is also preparing under the Namami Ganga program. For the Aviral Dhara components, afforestation, biodiversity conservation, and research and knowledge and E-flow notification, public participation in Gyan Ganga and other innovative activities also doing under the Namami program. When talking about the UP states, UP approximate 1100 kilometers from Ganga River stretch from the Bijnor to Balia, and it's covered 21, its flow in the 21 ULBs and approximate 1026 gram panchayats, and measure 11 tributaries confluence in the river Ganga, and 27 districts covers, and approximate population is 64 lakh something. This is a very common figure of the sewerage generation and sewerage treatment capacity and sewerage current treatment capacity and house connection, etc. There is no requirement to present this. Under the Namami Ganga program in Uttar Pradesh, currently 46 projects are implementing, and 21 projects has been completed. For the industry pollutions, 4 projects has been sanctioned and under execution conditions. And ghat and tributary is also developing, and river surface cleaning and drain treatment during the Kumbh and pilot project also implementing in the Namami Ganga program in Uttar Pradesh. Under the forest intervention programs, total approximate 115 crores projects has been sanctioned to State Forest Department for the plantation along the Ganga River. Ganga and its tributaries also, Gomti is also covered in these projects. And for the biodiversity conservation point of view, WI is working on biodiversity conservation and Ganga irrigation projects, and fish and fisheries conservation is also doing by the Shastri organization. And wetland aspects, wetland conservation, conserving and sustainable managing Gangetic floodplain wetlands of Uttar Pradesh project is also executing by the Uttar Pradesh Forest Department, State Wetland Authority. And for the outreach and communications, so many activities are also doing by under the Namami Ganga program by the State Mission for Killing Ganga, and so many institutes also institutional parts, NIRI and also WIG, WF, IIT, CSE also. Varuna ke, you know well, Varuna ke baare mein you have all about the, so I don't want to this. This is a map of the Varuna. And this is the data is provided by the UPPCB for the last 3 years. The BOD level is reduced from 2019 to 2021. So now BOD is approximate 10.9 is showing by the UPPCB. So when we're talking about the river health, so many major issues of river health is first of all is the sewerage pollutions, industry pollutions, and solid waste and legacy waste dumping in the catchment of the river, and encroachment of the floodplains, E-flow, and degradation of the floodplain wetlands of the river Varuna, and degradation of the catchment of the Varuna river and riverfront. So this is the major issues that has identified in point of the health aspects of the river Varuna. So for the major intervention has been taken under the different scheme in the Namami Ganga program also. The total 14 drains are confluence in the river Varuna. The 5 drains already tapped in the Goita Dinapur STP, and 9 drains will be tapped in very soon in the Goita STP. And house connection is also expediting and sewer is tapping in the STP. And for the industry pollution abatement, regular annual monitoring and inspection wise conducting by the third-party institutes, including BHU also. And for the proper monitoring on the industry aspects, OCMs and flow meters and wave camera is also installing in the GPA industries. And close monitoring is also doing by the UPPCB and CPCB. And groundwater is also reducing and reuse of the groundwater by the industry is also processing by the government. For the solid waste management aspects, approximately 30,000 metric ton solid waste is generating in the Varuna catchments, and in particular in the Varanasi city, solid waste is mostly collecting by the municipal corporations, and treatment is doing in TPD solid waste disposal plant. And for the encroachment of the floodplains, the irrigation department is demarking the floodplain along the Varuna River also in terms of in the direction of the Honorable NGT. And E-flow, there is no studies conducted by any organization on the E-flow of the Varuna River. And floodplain wetlands for the degradation of the floodplain issues. The State Wetland Authority is also preparing an inventory of the wetlands along the Ganga and its tributaries also. So it is that work is also under the preparation stage. And the catchment restoration aspects of the Varuna River. So Forest Department is every year afforestation plantation activities doing in the Ganga and Varuna River also. And river development is one of the major issue in the Varuna River. So as NMCG notification 7 October 2016, no further development activity not be allowed without the prior approval of the State Ganga Committee and National Mission for Clean Ganga. Thank you.
Thank you, Tagore-ji. So, if anybody else would like to comment or make have any questions or comments.
I'm Braj Kishore Jha. I was thinking that we have done enough for treatment and all those things. In industry, we started like this only, and slowly we moved towards zero discharge. Although that zero discharge is not well implemented by CPCB, but they are mandated, all industry is mandated to go for zero discharge. Now, what I feel that 80% of river pollution is due to no.
Sorry, your
voice is getting cut. We can't hear you, sir.
Yeah, I think.
Am I audible?
Not yet.
Not audible.
So,
Madam, I would like to also some recommendation for the Varuna catchment aspects. Some action plan point as to be suggested.
Not audible
would
even
you
now.
like to suggest now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. Am I audible now?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes,
No.
yes.
Yeah. So I was telling that this pollution control methods for sewage treatment plant that has not led us to nowhere. Now we have to think how to prevent creation of sewage. But for the first time, we have right now we cannot just reach to that. Although it is possible, but it will take time. So before that, we have to see that whatsoever treatment we are doing to sewage, but it should not go to the river. And how it is possible, that we have to for that only this river Assi we have selected. In that we are expecting Central Pollution Control Board, other pollution control boards, NIRI and BHU and IIT Kanpur to put their head together. And I was working for a steel plant and all those things for environment. So those social activists, environmental activists, they should put their head together, and whatsoever available technology is there, that should be best utilized, so that at least river Assi is not polluted, and it has this e-flow, not only e-flow, proper flow, what it was having. When I was there in 1973, there I have seen a good flow of water in the lean period also. So those flow only because maybe that water, groundwater is not recharged. So all those aspects we have to think. And once experiment is successful in Assi River, probably we will be able to take up these things for others also. So that was my contents. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So now the thing is about management of timing, because the session said 2 hours. We already started, I think, half an hour late. And so if we give 15 minutes to each person, maybe we'll just be able to take a question. But then the point here is to develop a strategy which sometimes may not fit into the defined timelines. So the discussion part is also very important. So let us reduce our time efficiently, so that we have a good discussion. So Tagorji, you were saying that you had some points for the
for the action preparing of the action plans.
Yes.
First of all, first is the restoration of the catchment wetlands of the Varuna River.
Okay.
Second is the restoration of the Basuhi and Morwa tributaries of the Varuna River.
Yes.
So third is the remediation of the wastewater that is discharging into Morwa and Varwa River through the constructed wetland technology.
So actually, if the organizers can confirm that they're recording it, then we don't have to write down so much.
I think they have confirmed it's being recorded, Adya.
Has it?
There was a message there.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't see
Fourth
that.
is the development of floodplain biodiversity park in the catchment of the Varuna River.
Okay, sir.
Fifth is the desilting of the river Varuna in a stretch where heavy sedimentation has taken place.
Okay.
Six is the monitoring of water quality at different sites to assess the health of the river ecosystem of Varuna.
Okay, sir.
My personal suggestion for the Varuna River, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
So I don't see as yet Professor Shankar joined in. Are you here, Professor Shankar? So I think not. So our second speaker was Professor D. Mohan from IIT, and I did see him joining in.
नमस्कार आप सबको
Yes,
नमस्ते
Namaskar, sir.
नमस्कार
So can you start your presentation, sir?
Since you mentioned in the beginning the time is very little, so I would not make presentation, rather I would put forward some points which may be considered. I prepared a presentation, but that will take time, in fact. So what do you want? It is half an hour presentation sort of thing. But if time is less and being internal, I don't want to encroach on others' time, so I would be very brief. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So
That would
I'm
be
giving
really
some
nice.
points here
Hmm.
regarding both Assi and Varuna. Actually, the time that was available with us, we just made some search, discussed with uh, others related, and then could come out with some conclusions which may be quite useful for discussion here, as well as these may be considered uh, for further working, of course. So what I say, first of all, for Assi and Varuna both, in fact, Assi practically it is reduced to a sort of drain. It is no more effectively a river, and it has to be rejuvenated and restored to a river. It is known to us all. There is huge encroachment that is all to be taken care of. Of course, technology and engineering is not there, but still the person, because a large part of Assi river has come within the Varanasi city itself. So there is limit to removal of encroachment also. And people, once they are there, they will use water, wastewater will be generated. So how to bring this down? This is one issue. So what I propose for this region, which is around Assi, which is in the catchment of Assi, we can think of separating this sewage from sewage, and this can help a lot. We have done this work for BHU, study at the ground level. Uh, in BHU, the water supply is huge, enormously high in comparison to the average water supply available throughout the country. In fact, it is a sort of luxurious wastage. I'm sorry to mention. It should not be up to that level, but it is up to that level. And so huge quantity of water is going as sewage because there are no separate systems. So we worked it out. So if we can use the modern flushing system, and if we separate the two, more than 90% is sewage, which need not to go even to the sewage treatment plant. This can be easily handled and managed within the BHU campus itself. Now the remaining remains some 5 to 10%. Similar situation can be, I mean, when I am talking this for BHU, since I have done work on it, such type of situation, if applied for the habitants in the catchment of Assi, other than BHU, and in the catchment of Varuna, this can bring down enormously the wastewater which is running directly into the rivers, right? And larger part of it, let me tell you, practically whole of it. Let us, I'm sorry to mention it, you can visit the sewage treatment plants which are located, and you can conclude for yourself. I would not like to make any remark about their functioning. It's not hidden from anyone, right? So let us not depend too much on this technology, which is, of course, which was developed in the West when the energy subsidy regime was there. Now this technology is being abandoned even there, what we are importing and implementing it today here. So let us not keep on repeating the same energy intensive technologies which have been discarded by the West. Of course, the West was its land of invention, land of discovery. So we must learn this lesson. Here we have relatively much higher abundance of sunlight, solar energy. So our technologies should be environment friendly, and for that technologies like AIWPS, that is Advanced Integrated Wastewater Pond System sort of technology should be put into practice rather than this type of conventional sewage treatment methodology. This I propose, and if required, it should not be thought immediately. The question comes where from the land will come and other things. The ponds which we have, they may be interconnected, they may be put to really effective use, and this technology can be implemented. Other thing which I want to mention, there is published literature. There is a village called Sota, SOTA, in the catchment of Gangaji, and there huge land is available which just becomes, you can say, which starts acting as a channel when the river Gangaji is in high flood level. Otherwise, for larger part of the year, it remains a sort of dry channel or a channel with very little flow. So if it can be disconnected from Gangaji, huge land is available for us to create a sort of advanced integrated wastewater pond system. And again, you see, we Indians have a very typical great habit, that great question mark, that if some Indian proposes the solution, it is always considered inferior than a solution proposed by some Westerner. So let me say this solution was proposed by Westerner itself. Professor Oswald and Professor G.D. Agarwal, together they worked on it. And we should feel proud that Professor G.D. Agarwal, his great name is also involved. So this is really viable and this can be worked out, this can be put to practice. Okay, then there will be questions how to transport this much water. So that AIWPS I am proposing for Varanasi region. AIWPS for the catchment of Varuna, for the catchment of Assi will be different. And you see, when it is a question of rejuvenating a river, when it is a question of survival, when it is a question of saving the groundwater resources, the cost estimation should not be as usual. We should be ready to accommodate because water is truly priceless, resources are priceless, and life is priceless, rivers are priceless. We must have this in mind. So this first point I propose that for these areas we must ensure the policy of zero sewage discharge into the river. This policy we must strictly adhere to, zero sewage discharge into the river. Even if it is treated, no sewage should go into the river. Treated or untreated, all sewage tapped. Before that, bifurcation of sewage and sewage, then sewage quantity will be very small, which can be handled locally without any problem. This sewage can also be treated if required, and then that can be recycled. If at all recycling, or better I should say, that can be reused easily for agricultural purposes itself. It's not difficult. Other thing that I would propose, of course, it may look bit costlier. The bio-toilets are available. This technology has been developed, it has been customized. Our Indian Railways are using it. Can we develop it further? And dry toilets have been, lot of work has been done by IIT Kanpur and other groups on these dry toilets. Can't we have some technology from there, that is bio toilet by DRDO, DRDE, etc. And of course, it's not technology in theory, it's technology in practice. So can we think of that bio toilet? And can we think of that dry toilet? And can we think of some synthesis of these two to be put forward for the people who are directly in the catchment of rivers? Very much in the catchment of rivers. See, catchment is a very big area, but there are certain people very near to the river, certain people bit away from the river. So we have to, find. For example, can we think of putting such technology for use by people in Varanasi, by people on the coastline of Varuna, by people on the coastline of Assi? This is possible and this is viable. Cost issues may come, but when we are trying, when we are deciding, and when we are committing to rejuvenate our rivers, cost should not be calculated in just as usual manner. We should be ready to accommodate cost, because more the water is polluted, more scarce the fresh water becomes, its cost will go up. So soon it may be cost-wise viable option also. So this is another proposal which I put forward. Can we think of some customized, modified bio toilets, dry toilets, or a proper synthesis of these two for the people in the catchments of not only these two rivers, the tributaries to these two rivers as well as others. Then third point which I would like to put forward is community toilets, right? This may appear and this may truly happen at present, that bio toilets in every household or dry toilets in every household or a synthesis or something like that may appear a bit costlier at present. So for village people, for a village, can we think of 4 or 5 arrangements of a community toilet sort of system based on bio toilet, dry toilet, synthesis arrangement? That may be much better. This is another proposal. Again, as I told you, what I want to put forward here is zero sewage discharge into any river. Whether the sewage is treated or untreated, it does not matter. Sewage must not reach the river. That is the most important point. That has to be kept in mind. Sewage must not reach into the river. So this is the point, and this can be done. And when I say this with conviction. I say this as a student of environmental engineering, not as just a hypothesis. This can be done, this is possible. So other thing, of course, there may be many proposals, many treatment technologies filed, but these points which I want to put forward just in nutshell once again. First of all, bifurcation or separation of sewage and sewage. Then treatment of sewage locally, reuse of sewage if required after very little treatment or as such for agricultural purposes and other. Then customization of bio toilets or a synthesis of customized bio toilets and customized dry toilets for use by the people in the immediate catchment of these rivers, villages and others, even by the cities like Kanpur, Prayagraj, Varanasi and others. Such customized toilets can be made, and if they have not been made, it should not be thought that these cannot be made. Technologies, this is how it goes ahead. This should also be considered as an option before being thrown aside. Then consideration for something like community toilet concept for village use. These are the points which I wanted to make. So this is all I want to say. If there is any query or anything that I would like to answer, if I can right now or provide afterwards. But if there is any point to be discussed further, I am here.
Thank you, Dr. Mohan. I actually had a point on what you were stressing about. I absolutely agree about zero waste, discharge into the rivers. But when you say not even treated water, doesn't that make it a little unfeasible kind of a solution? Then the treated water has to be reused somewhere, and that.
Okay, ma'am. So if your question is over, may I respond?
Yes, please.
First of all, with apology to you, I would like to say it is not treated water, it is treated wastewater. So we must be very clear. Its quantity, you see, this treated wastewater is better than pond water most of the time. So why should we allow it to go into river when we are depending on agriculture, irrigation from, I mean, sucking water from the ground? Why should not we use it for agriculture? Why should not be used for irrigation? Why should we waste electricity? Why should we dig deep boreholes? The already the water table is sinking down, and we are getting problems like I mean lethal arsenic pollution in Varanasi city itself, in Ramnagar. So why should we waste our precious groundwater resource when we have this treated wastewater for irrigation purpose? And we have huge lands around Varanasi for irrigation. Am I clear, ma'am? I think
Yes, I'm just noting it.
Dr. Mohan, but
yes.
I have one point to
One
make.
by one, please. My request, one by one, so that I may hear. I would once again I say very humbly. You say I am a student. Please listen. Please listen. Let me finish.
As you told that this is a treated wastewater,
Please listen,
then one should know before using to the agriculture for irrigation
Upendra Rai,
purpose,
sir, please
what
let
is the
me-
quality of this? Whether
Sir.
it contains some toxic things or not.
Sir, okay, if your question is over, first of all, I would like to make a prayer. I mean to say prayer only, please, one by one. And please let this be interactive, not one-sided. So, Upendra, sir, if a secondary treatment is working properly, okay?
Yes.
Please note
Yes,
it.
yes.
If secondary treatment, that is biological treatment, is working properly, this is essential. It must be really happening. Second point, if there are no toxic discharges already present, which is the case for municipal wastewater, where from the toxic discharges come? So should we make it hypothetical, some toxic element, where from they will come? If they are not in the source, how will they appear in the treated wastewater? Okay, so we should not, I mean, put hypothetical questions. If there
No,
are
it is not hypothetical, sir.
सर आप मुझे
You
अपनी
might
बात
be know it.
को रिस्पॉन्स तो करने दें सर जी, मैं आपकी बात पे भी आऊंगा, कहाँ से आ सकते हैं, ऐसा नहीं मैं जान नहीं रहा हूँ. Hypothetical कब है? When we have separated industrial effluent from municipal sewage, certainly it is a hypothetical, okay? But present situation is, it is not hypothetical, you are right. So हमें करना क्या है? मैंने पहले ही प्रपोज किया था सेपरेशन ऑफ द सीवरेज सिस्टम. हमने पहले ही प्रपोज किया था, पहला पॉइंट हमने यही दिया था, सीवरेज सिस्टम, नो इंडस्ट्रियल एफ्लुएंट शुड बी अलाउड टू गेट मिक्स्ड अप विद द म्युनिसिपल सीवरेज. इफ इट इज मिक्सिंग, दैट इज रॉन्ग. हमने, अगर आपने अटेंशन दिया हो, मेरा पॉइंट पहला यहीं से शुरू हुआ था, सेपरेशन, बाइफरकेशन. तो वो पॉइंट खत्म हो जाता है. अगर इंडस्ट्रियल एफ्लुएंट है तो इंडस्ट्री को अपना खुद ट्रीट करना है. फिर हमारे वेस्ट वाटर में जो म्युनिसिपल वेस्ट वाटर है, म्युनिसिपल सीवेज है, उसमें कोई टॉक्सिक एलिमेंट नहीं रहेगा. एंड दिस ट्रीटेड वेस्ट वाटर आफ्टर सेकेंडरी ट्रीटमेंट is better than pond water and so can be used for irrigation purpose without any problem. अब मैं आगे ऐड कर रहा हूँ सर, with all humility. हमने एक PhD कराई है, आपका स्वागत है, आप आइए. You are most welcome. Please come to my department and see the thesis. This is a joint work between Institute of Agricultural Sciences and me. There are no toxic elements present, even in the wastewater coming out from the Bhagwanpur sewage treatment plant. ठीक है sir? Are you happy?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, you
sir,
are right.
I just want to conclude this discussion now.
Jha sir had some question. Please allow.
Yeah. I'm very thankful to Dr. Devendra, who is a very. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
So, really thankful that you are very emphatic that yes, it is possible, and I too feel. And although Mr. Upendra Rai was just discussing with you, but he also knows that it is possible. What we have to see, that we have to see within. We have not to go for whatsoever Western countries are doing. So we have to create a system and engineering solutions for all these things. We will be striving at, and we will be able to search within whatsoever I told that IIT Kanpur, BHU, and NEERI and all Central Pollution Control Board has to coordinate all these things. So probably these recommendations we should give to them.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. If Madam permits bit more time, I would like to get enlightened and educated from the questions of August audience. I request Madam to give a few more minutes, if possible, for question answer session, so that I learn. That is the purpose.
So does anybody else have a comment or suggestion?
So thanks a lot. Then, if there are no discussion, thanks a lot and namaste, namaskar, aap sabko.
Thank you, sir.
I request you please keep in touch and interaction. Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir. I can see that Professor Shankar has joined in. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, you are on mute. Dr. Shankar.
Satyaji, do you want me to speak if there is nobody else?
Actually, Professor Shankar has joined. He was the first speaker, and I think he's having some problem with connecting. So maybe if he's unable to connect, he could have you first. Just let's ask him. Professor Shankar, can you hear us?
He's on mute, I think.
Yeah. So I think maybe I think you could go first, Sureshji, by the time he resolves his connectivity issue.
Okay, I'll just take 5-10 minutes. Though there is nothing specific to Assi River, but it is specific to everywhere where the water and wastewater issues are there. Thanks, Satyaji, for preponing and taking me before other speakers when they get ready. I represent Center for Science and Environment, and we have been working on the urban water and wastewater issues. And I think the principles and the findings of our work really are relevant to this whole event, what is being organized. That how this one particular tributary or part of a tributary could be revived. The whole thing is that the urban water cycle itself is broken in the city of Varanasi. Okay, now to fix that, we can talk about zero discharge and all those things, which are reactive and curative approaches. Okay, now the point is that we have to understand. Yes, there are a few points which were from the previous speakers came in, was that one should reduce the water consumption itself, such that the generation of wastewater goes down. And frankly, in today's technology world, it is possible that we can bring down the water usage, in fact, 80 to 90 liter per capita per day. And we should have a big campaign if we really want this city and this part of the river to be revived. Then we can bring down 30% of sewage generation in that entire catchment by just moving on to, either highly subsidized or, government funded provisions that water efficient fixtures are there in every house. Like we have replaced the normal bulbs with CFL bulbs. Similarly, water efficient fixtures could be there, starting from taps to everything else. And then the whole concern is that water is a community which is in shortage. We still do not believe in Ganga Basin state that water is scarce commodity. So I think that is one thing I wanted to say. And other thing is, I have a presentation which I can just share a few slides if you allow me.
Yes, please, please.
To just tell you that what we people.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Let me see. I'm not very used to Google Meet. Can somebody help me in this one? How does it work? Like, is it
There's
the
an
share?
arrow. You see, there's a square with an arrow.
Shall I click on the tab or the window or the entire screen?
It says present now. There is one square button with an arrow inside.
But it gives me all options of 3 options. It says a window, a tab, or a maybe it is a window. Let me just see if I can do. Otherwise, let me just continue with what I wanted to say. The point was that we have over a period of time, in the interest of the time and other things, I would say what I wanted to convey is that there are opportunities within the catchment of Assi River as well as within the urban area. There are public toilets, hospitals, market offices, single houses, residential areas, schools and colleges. All these areas could be encouraged, and we have done a very recent study about parks in Varanasi, the open spaces in parks. We found that there was untapped potential of utilization of parks for rainwater harvesting, as well as greening of the parks and open spaces that could be done with the sewage which is generated in the neighborhood, which could be treated, and we could reduce the water usage in that particular area, which adds on to the burden on the on the ULB for urban wastewater treatment. And other thing which should be decided is that the level or the type of reuse should decide the level of disinfection. We are trying to push that entire city at one point of time will have the 10 BOD water level, and then everybody, we will not be able to catch up with this. There will be peri-urban areas, there will be further new developments coming up. I think that one thing is very important. We have done several case studies. We are located within Delhi, a very high dense area. We have a training center located outside in a remote area off grid. We are able to do 80 liters per capita per day, 100% treated sewage being used on campus. But we do have consent to discharge, and we are able to have a good quality of life, meeting all the regulatory standards. So I would strongly say that we should not try for only end of the pipe treatment solution, saying that we should bring X technology or Y technology. The peri-urban areas or new areas, we should think of even reducing the cost of the conveyance system. We should talk about small bore sewer system, because if we really reduce the total water usage, then you don't need those big dia sewage networks. You would also not need. So frankly, the whole political economy of sewage treatment has to be relooked at that. So at least, if not in the existing and the new areas, but certainly in the existing areas, immediately there has to be focus on water efficiency and conservation, and awareness should be on that direction. Rather, the thing is, in Ganga Basin, everything that water is plenty in quantities, and there is no worry about. I don't think the message is still gone to the citizens in Ganga Basin that they are part of India, and water is India is a water-stressed nation, and the Ganga Basin itself is already showing signs of over extraction of groundwater. 80% of total water supplies are on groundwater. Now, increasingly, what will happen is with the Jal Jeevan Mission, Jal Shakti Mission, the problems of river Assi or any river are going to be increased manifold. You are going to be the house which was getting even the poorest or the smallest household which was getting 20-30 liter water will bring 70 liter water, and you will have abundant sewage getting generated in an economy where people do not recover the cost of water supply. So sewage treatment will be a big challenge, because sewage treatment will be at least 2 to 3 times more costlier. So one will have to look at sustainable and affordable model if we really want a city clean. So one has to connect the urban sanitation with the river pollution. Until and unless there is a connection between this, the land use planning has to talk to the regulators. It is not just a game of CPCB and IITs and engineering college and institutions. The citizens have to be engaged. The source of water supply is diverse. You have to sit with the citizens and involve communities in this process of decentralized wastewater treatment. That was the topic of my today's inputs, which I wanted to give. But this should not be just left to the engineers alone or institutions like Jal Nigam, Jal Sansthan. You need to open up, and there are multiple stakeholders which have to be on board to change the way the paradigm has been in the past. So I would stop here, and any reactions, I would welcome that.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh. Actually, I absolutely, totally agree with you on the citizen involvement, and their participation is actually the key. We did, Tagore knows, we did in Prayagraj, the renew our drain treatment technology.
Yeah.
And during the Kumbh, it was really working very well because everybody was involved and there. But then, what happened was, it was an in situ drain treatment. So you can understand all the treatment components are within the flowing drain. And then there is a dharamshala nearby one of the drains. They had a function there and dumped all their pattals into the drain. So they just clogged up all our treatment. So,
Just one other point I wanted to add, Atiya ji. Many people say that कि हम sampling करेंगे, result आएगा BOD का 3 दिन के बाद या 5 दिन. लेकिन अगर citizens involved होंगे तो every day they keep a watch on the water body.
Yes, I
Whether fish
absolutely
is
agree.
dying, whether there is a smell in the system. So they are the wardens of the system, what is in place. Just sorry to
Citizen responsibility sharing is extremely important.
We should not leave it to just IITs or UP Jal Nigams or Sansthan. It has to be
Right.
everybody's business. I think that's a strong message. I would say the strategy should say that.
Right.
It should
I
be
just absolutely,
everybody.
totally agree with you on that. In fact, it's there in my talk for tomorrow, where I was going to describe on the renew what we did, that with the pictures, how we really struggle to deal with, that kind of, what should I say, lack of casual, just taking it for granted kind of a thing. They are not involved in the treatment process. That's the sad part.
I would say even from the planning stages, if you are planning to do something in the city or on the Nala,
Yeah,
it is
it
not
should
just
be-
at the end that you involve, okay, now we are doing a stakeholder engagement.
Right. It
You
should be
have to present to them 3 options. That there is one option that we do a centralized sewer system, which is going to cost them a hell lot of money, or which they will never get 24/7 water supply and never get a clean river. Another option is that they will also have good. So I think from the planning stages, they have to be involved. At the moment, what is happening is people have a paying capacity of 15 rupees per month. We are giving them a solution of 150 rupees per month. We are not going to recover anything, and we have this unsustainable STPs, which we keep in lock and key. Only regulator comes and gives reports saying that, because 2015 report said that 30% sewage is getting treated in country. Now we are saying 22% is getting treated. So increasingly, I think with the urbanization, the way we are going, we may one day find that, only 15% or 10%, we will keep on growing with Jal Jeevan Mission, more water and more sewage getting generated. Unfortunately, that's going to be. I'll stop here. Sorry, I just wanted to.
Yes, thank you so much. So anybody would like to make some comments or suggestions? Actually, there is a hand icon also below. If anyone would like to speak, you could probably use that. So we know whether to wait for your response. I think everybody absolutely agrees with you, Dr. Suresh. So I will now request Professor Shankar.
Professor Shankar, you are quiet. Speak.
Thank you, Atiya. I'll be here around till 5:15. I have another meeting.
Okay. So 1 minute. Ram Balak has raised his hand. So.
Hello, yes, ma'am.
Please go ahead.
No, sir. Madam, this is my one recommendation. The most suitable intervention is to the regarding Varuna, madam. Hello, regarding river Varuna, the most suitable intervention. intervention to acquire the cultivate and one wetland of Marhan village, Phulpur, Prayagraj districts, and cultivate back wetland at Biodiversity Park. Also, there are massive wetlands in the downstream about 60 kilometers from the origin and other wetlands located in the unpolluted stretch of the river, where defensive could be carried up to appropriate depth. Original bed level, the desilted materials can be used for making natural embankments without disrupting natural drainage pattern system. These wetlands receive water from catchment and feed to the rivers, enhance stream flow, not only remove sediment, but also dilute the pollution level in water downstream.
Start speaking.
Are you done, Dr. Ram?
Ji ma'am. This is my second recommendation.
Please go ahead.
Ji. This is my second recommendation. The major tributary, namely Basin, join Varuna in about 100 kilometers from the point of origin, and Morwa, which joined Varuna at about 150 kilometers away from the point of origin, carry agricultural runoff, excess water from the canals and catchment or agricultural fields. May contains high level of nutrient and pesticide. This can be remediated by riparian vegetation along the embankments. Both of them do not carry an industrial pollutants. And second thing is setting up to the one or more unit constructed wetlands. Within each of these drains, Dharaura, Basti and Durga above stretch in the in situ remediation of sewage as well as industrial effluents. It is not possible in situ remediation directly of polluted river water of the stretch using constructed wetland system, because a large volume of the water coming from the unpolluted stretch of the river along with the discharge drain and narrow with the rivers. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
And this is my third recommendation. The stretch may be required desilting, particularly in location stretch where its tributary with polluted water join to river, and the desilted material can be used for strengthening embankments. And the third one, all the drains should be tapped interception diversion to relate STP with respect to tapping of drains. Its overflow exists can after interception diversion system that could be tapped into the constructed wetland system for in situ remediations. And the last, at present, the STP at Dinapur and as well as Gotha underutilized given their design capacity. They should be made fully efficient in terms of utilization. Value of high coliform can be dealt in via ensuring proper optimization distribution unit as per over outlet flow of the STPs. And the last one, there are reported wetland in the stretch that require restoration via desilting up to the appropriate depth. Thereafter, the constructed wetland could be introduced, can be received water from the catchment of lake before feeding into the river. Riparian vegetation may help reducing the nutrient loading. Thank you, madam.
Start speaking. Hello.
Sir, can you give us 2 minutes? Dr. Devendra Mohan also has raised his hand.
Okay, I'll hold. You
Just
please
let
give
your
me
slide
time.
be
I'll
answered.
start.
Just 2 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, madam. Okay, madam.
Dr. Mohan.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Actually, I wanted to just give a supplementary point to what Mr. Ram Balakji is telling. So, the point is, Sri Ram Balakji, am I audible to you? Mr. Ram Balak?
Ji, sir.
Am I reaching you?
Yeah, sir.
You have really proposed some very good, points which really need to be considered. You see, this is how the sustainability can be ensured. But one thing you have to see, again, the separation of sewage streams become very important. Separation of wastewater streams. The wetlands must not be must not be exposed to industrial effluents. This must be noted. Okay, again I repeat, the wetlands must not be exposed to industrial effluents. Everything what you said is fine. Second point, what you are talking about sewage, this treated sewage coliform count, mostly we become too anxious about these coliform numbers, etc. And starting something like for drinking purpose. No, if we are using for irrigation purpose, the limits are different. So we must, moreover, we must not be too much driven by the West-centric mindset of fixing limits. I repeat my point once again. This is quite essential, and I put it emphatically. We must not be too much West-centric in fixing and considering our permissible limits in far as coliforms are concerned. These are three issues that I wanted to give as supplement to what Mr. Rampalakji put forward. Thank you so much for giving me time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think we will go to Professor Shankar now.
Hello.
Sir?
First, thank you so very much, the organizers, Professor P.K. Singh, and then so many of you placed in different parts of the world. I am indeed delighted to be presenting this very brief account of our work and our suggestion for revival and restoration of Assi and Varuna. See, what you're seeing in front of you is some of the work that we have done in water rehabilitation from sewage for reuse for a variety of purposes. And the technology that we use looks like a garden, as you can see in the slide. And there are also such pictures you can see in different parts of the country. We have done clearly about 200 million liters of such water restoration in different parts of the country. Next, please. Essentially, it's a very simple technology. As you can see, it looks like a garden. Next, please. And of course, what we are trying to say is that even if you're looking at a very big plant, 90% is only a garden. See, what we are trying to put across to you is that Varanasi is a very ancient city, maybe 10, 20,000 years old. And Gautam Buddha actually came to Varanasi knowing that Varanasi is the intellectual hub of the world and intellectual hub of civilization. That's why he came here. And in fact, it is our personal view and the view of all of you, I'm sure, that restoring Assi and Varuna is probably the best thing that can be done to restore the intellectual, the potential of Varanasi. Next, please. So what we want to learn is that in order to restore the river, of course, we have to create a huge amount of forestry at the source, maybe close to about 1 million hectares. That might take time. Therefore, we need an interim solution. And the interim solution, as I have suggested here, is that we must be able to pump water from Ganga into Varuna and Assi so that Varuna and Assi will start flowing. And this technology of pumping water into the river is something Jal Nigams have done in different parts of the country, including Ganga Basin. This is a technology which need not be discovered because it's already in operation within the Jal Nigam. And what's really important here is that we must put this in place within the budgets that might be available. We have made an estimate of the budget. Next, please. Next, please. See, what it appears is that to restore the river, about 250 MLD of water will have to be pumped into the river, and that might cost some very rough estimates I have given. What it matters is that once the river starts flowing, and indeed the entire city of Varanasi will come alive because they have done so 10,000 years ago, and therefore they have remained constrained for want of river coming back to life. Next, please. Next, please. So essentially, pumping station technology, I don't have to tell any of you, it is well known. Okay. So the power required for pumping, we are suggesting that we create solar power supply 10 or 15 kilometers upstream where the space may be available. Therefore, the real technology is to prevent now further destruction of the river by wastewater coming in, for which we have created a technology called CAMS SBT, which is already patented. As a small plant already is working within IIT BHU. Next, please. See, what we have found over the last number of years is that there are many people, in fact, many agencies who are very expert in reviving rivers by actually restoring forestry at source. I have personally seen the Aravalli River in the Aravalli Hills done by Tarun Bharat Sangh, and Mr. Rajendra Singh is my personal friend. And of course, similar works have been done by Isha Foundation and other foundations and so on. But it's something, a technology that already exists as far as river restoration is concerned. What we bring is the technology of what we call as CAMS SBT, which is a very fundamental way of understanding the biochemistry of soil in a very elementary and fundamental form, so that the purification of water can be done by the biochemistry of soil. We have demonstrated this in different parts of the country, and Niti Aayog considers this as one of the ideal technologies, and that is the SBT technology is 1990 technology, but what we have is a 2021 technology, which is improvement many times in terms of space. The space occupied by CAMS SBT of today is about 1/10 of the space that was occupied in 1990s. Or in other words, what I would like to put across to all of you, that technology for water restoration in terms of purification using soil biochemistry, we have already put in place throughout the country, including in Varanasi as well as in IIT BHU. The technology for pumping station to be put into the river at the mouth of the river in Ganga, in Varuna and Assi is already with the Jal Nigams, and I made an estimate of the cost. And then restoration of the river at source is something that I've seen myself. It's a technology that is well understood and then it's been demonstrated. And if you combine all the three within the kind of knowledge that's available at IIT BHU, and whatever knowledge we can bring from my team working with Vision Healthcare and Shankar Associates and many others, etc., I look forward to very rapidly restoring the river by actually creating 250 MLD of pumping of Ganga water into the river upstream 10 kilometers. And I believe this will immediately restore the river and indeed bring alive the intellectual potential of Varanasi. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So please use the hand icon if you would like to have some questions.
In fact, now that I've taken very little time, it's not to actually in this slide. What we are trying to put across in these slides is that if you look at the technology called CAMS SBT and compare this technology with any other technology like SBR or ASP and so on, what you see here is only a garden. And then the space occupied by this garden is roughly same as the same space occupied by SBR or something like that. Or in other words, space-wise, we are no different from mechanical technologies. But power consumption-wise and operating cost-wise, we are a fraction of other technologies. So what Borda EVAG has said recently is that if you look at the operating cost as a life cycle cost, it finds that the lowest life cycle cost is that of our technology, which is CAMS SBT. And then compared to this, all other technologies are very, very expensive. And since the power consumptions are extremely low and we use only local materials, therefore it promises to restore the river at a cost which other technologies may not be able to match. So we really look forward to an opportunity to actually demonstrate by creating pumping station with the help of Jal Nigams and the budgets and so on, it's already pointed out, so that we can actually restore the intellectual potential of Varanasi, which at the time of Buddha was the greatest in the world. And we have lost a lot of ground. Varanasi, as the intellectual hub of the world, has lost a lot of ground. And this opportunity to restore this river and therefore the intellectual potential of Varanasi is the best way would be to see these two rivers flow as quickly as possible. Thank you very much.
I have a question. How much time it will require to treat the complete wastewaters by this?
My estimate, sir, my estimate is that if the budgets as mentioned here is given to Jal Nigam, I believe that the entire work can be demonstrated within 12 months. If the budgets are made available. Because Jal Nigams are experts in this kind of work. They don't need to be taught at all. And IIT BHU is one of the experts in the area of design of some of these. So what we bring is the soils biochemistry to marry with whatever knowledge that's already with IIT BHU and Jal Nigam. I'd like you to look at the pictures that is being displayed and the greenery that we are able to bring into the technology of water purification or water cleaning or STPs as we all talk about. And there are many, many plants, close to 200 MLD of such plants exist in different parts of the country.
Actually, I'm worried about the soil condition of that treated area. If the water is being fed to these plants, the water will percolate down to the soil and it will contaminate the soil also.
See, what we have done is that the technology has a waterproofing at the base using membrane, and then there has been no instance of any such contamination because CPCB and state control boards continuously monitor the water quality of the plant as well as the water quality nearby and the water quality of the river into which the water is being put. So these are being done by the control boards, and then we have got this credential from Niti Aayog as the ideal technology because they have done the survey with the help of state boards as well as central boards. And I believe that the opportunity says that these problems do not exist at all.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So, do you treat the water before you use it in this irrigation of this fields?
What you see is actually the treatment plant. So we put in the untreated water, and what you see is a plantation which is able to stand the untreated water.
Mm-hmm.
And then what comes out of is a water with BOD less than 10, COD less than 30, TSS less than 10, TN less than 10 as per NGT norms.
Right, sir. So, anybody else would like to make a comment or a question?
Madam, can I say a few words?
Yes, sir, please.
See, I first profusely thank all of you for this opportunity, and I profusely request all of you to prevail upon the government to provide this 1200 crores to Jal Nigam as well as IIT BHU together so that we can demonstrate within the period of next 12 to 14 months revival of both the rivers, and so that the intellectual hub which is known to civilization, Varanasi, will come alive. I request you to kindly cooperate in this noble mission. Thank you very much.
So, would anybody like to say anything? So, the only person left to speak is me. So, uh, if Professor Shankar can stop sharing his screen, I would just like to share mine.
You don't have to create artificial sun.
I feel in the meantime, Dr. Vidyarthi had joined and probably he had, Dr. Dr. Vidyarthi is here or he has left? Dr. Vidyarthi has perhaps once again left. Maybe he is extremely busy and he may be somewhere pre-engaged. So please, madam, go ahead, please.
Okay. There's somebody is okay. So I'm just going to. It's extremely strange window. Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
it's visible. Yeah, please.
So, thank you. Thank you, Professor Singh, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to join in with you. As you know, that NEERI is also very much keen on this topic of, ensuring river health and rejuvenation. So, after hearing all our learned speakers, everybody having so many inputs to give, what I would like to say is that all the points from everybody, are equally important. We need to just divide it into what we can do today. That means taking the assessment of the ground situation today, and then how we can plan for tomorrow. One of our speakers said that we should have absolutely zero discharge into the rivers. That is an extremely important and one very good option for keeping our rivers clean. But the work that will go behind it will take some time for us to actually implement it, and that technology or that idea will take a lot of planning to come into force for such a huge river. If you look at the Varuna river, this is a Google Earth image, and you can see how much of built up land is there all around.
Madam, your slides has to move. Your slides are not moving.
It hasn't moved?
No, please.
Now? Can you
No.
see now?
No, ma'am.
No.
Not yet.
One second.
Just up and down. Only page up and down.
वो हो नहीं रहा है. Can you see? One second.
शरद पूर्णिमा या कार्तिक पूर्णिमा या अभी छठ का पूजा होगा.
Is it visible now?
Not
Ma'am,
yet.
you're not presenting right now. You'll have to present and then keep on slideshow.
Yeah, that's what I did actually. So I just escaped it because, okay, 1 second.
तो कई बार तो वो तो बिल्कुल लूजिंग स्ट्रीम बन के पहले चैनल पेपर को भरता रहेगा और धीरे धीरे हमारा पानी का लेवल भी बढ़ेगा. और इस तरह अगर हम सरफेस वाटर ग्राउंड वाटर को बनाएंगे तो हम एटलीस्ट.
Yes, now it's coming. Yeah.
Now it's coming. So I won't put it on slide share because that was what I did last time. So if you can see, this is the Varuna river before it empties into the sea, and you can see all the built up, all the population that resides around the river. And so when we formulate a plan, we will be looking at this much huge population, so we should not forget that into our counting. This was what I had got from the UP Jal Nigam a couple of years ago when we had done the Prayagraj drain treatment project. And the data was that there are about 11 untrapped drains, and I'm sure this number has changed. There is another CPCB report which I will show you in the end, which shows a little different kind of a data. So right away, what can we do? These are the most popular technologies, bioremediation, phytoremediation, constructed wetlands. We heard a lot of constructed wetlands just now, and I've added renew to that, which is a technology developed by NEERI. But the thing is, none of these are a one size fit all kind of a remediation plan, because the kind of the drain, the kind of space availability, and the population that resides around it, all that will decide what is your treatment option. And of course, there are advantages and disadvantages to everything. Constructed wetlands being the most efficient and proven technology so far is something that requires also a lot of work. Sometimes you can have suspended solids and choking, and even what Professor Shankar showed us in his slides was also a kind of a creation of that kind of phytoremediation kind of a treatment system. And this is what Niri has done. These are the kind of drains that were leading into the Ganges river at the Sangam point, so at the time of the Kumbh. So we used a technology that this is only the end point that I'm showing you. I will talk a little more in detail of this technology tomorrow, but we make these kacha drains into a pakka drain and do a treatment within the flowing drain. Like all the components of an STP we are including here, like a sedimentation tank and anoxic chamber, and the end part comes into this floating rafters where the plants take over. And we were able to achieve the norms that were given. Of course, now all these norms have changed. The problem with all of these technologies is the bacterial count. Bacterial count is something that it's really difficult to deal with, because looking at the very high numbers, I did not hear from any of the speakers anything about how they have been dealing with the excessive bacterial counts that are there, because I'm sure that any kind of gravel filtration, soil filtration is not going to kill the bacteria. So that is something we need to sit down and all of us uh, advise each other on what could be the best kind of a treatment. We also then studied in depth on how the treatment is going on. So we looked at the functional. Normally, when you do metagenomics, you're looking at a microbial diversity and the functional diversity. So we looked at the function, basically not so much microbial diversity as in the taxonomy, but which are the kind of bacteria that are residing in the different treatment units. All of you are engineers. I don't need to tell you. I think I'm the biologist out of, what should I say, the zone of all of you engineers. So you all know that anaerobic degradation generates less sludge. So we just mapped out, how many anaerobic zones we could create, and we looked at which are the regions that are having a higher biodegradation potential. So based on this, we can refine our treatment process. And in for the lakes, whenever it is going into the lakes, the eutrophication with nitrogen and phosphorus is really high. So we also mapped which are the genes that are available. But this slide is something that I really want to bring to your notice. It is because the sewage is like one hub for creating AMR, antibiotic resistant markers, bacteria. And this is something that is in such minuscule amounts that your treatment, any biological treatment, really does not address the antibiotics and the pharmaceuticals that even come from into your sewage, into your wastewater. And this generates antibiotic resistance. So we are actually looking at one, the next health threat is looming right here because of these untreated wastewaters. This is also something that we should not ignore, and we should look into it.
You have any more feedback? I think your point is quite valid. In fact, we have been saying that let's make Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Guarantee Scheme as the land and water restoration scheme. Now, this is the world biggest employment generation scheme. अगर हम थोड़ा सा पॉलिसी लेवल चेंज करें और उसको साइंस.
So then there are other treatment options also, like I think it was, I have a name, Dr. Ram Bala. He said something. The last person who spoke, I think he was Ram Bala, who said that we should use all the land that is available to create these kind of constructed wetlands. So that this is also one very important aspect which could be done today while we are planning how we could refine and increase our processes. I also came across this, that there is an action plan already from the Uttar Pradesh Pollution Control Board, although I could not find the date of this publication. So they have a very specific plan. So I think we should, tie up with everybody who has already been working on these aspects. And the only thing I was worried about is from the UP Jal Nigam, I got 17 drains, and here it is 14 drains. So I don't know which is the current uh, figure factor. But this report has given very beautifully, it has mapped out all the drains that are coming into your Varuna river and how much of MLD and which lat long and everything. So we would actually need to work together, all of us, to build something that we can take it into an outdoor, like a bathing water facility, according to the CPCB norms B. And if those finally in the future, if we are able to really achieve zero waste discharge into the rivers, then of course I'm sure we can even think of talking about A. But for the present, I think we should start focusing on how we could achieve the CPCB norms of the classification of water as B. So thank you. That's what I had to say here. Mainly that, just stop sharing. Mainly that we need to plan our work in phases, So there are some idealistic conditions which take a lot of work for us to reach there. So what is the solution for today? What is the solution for tomorrow? And how we plan to reach our goal of improving the health of all these rivers. Thank you. So, comments, please.
Madam, hello.
Yes, sir.
Madam, your slide figure numbers of drain in 17. That's my actual monitoring of the drain. It total 20 drains in the catchment of River Varuna. It found directly discharging into river, and 20 drains, 2 drains in Bhadohi, and 80 drains are found in Varanasi.
सर आपने आपका इंट्रोडक्शन नहीं दिया राम जी.
Madam, myself Ram Balak Singh, as a senior scientist from CPCB, RD Lucknow.
From CPCB, okay, right. तो ये जो रिपोर्ट है सर, ये कितनी पुरानी है, जो वरुणा के ऊपर रिजुविनेशन का प्लान है?
ये मैडम करंट रिपोर्ट है.
ओके.
अभी जस्ट हम लोग मॉनिटरिंग किए थे, उसको सबमिट किए थे एनजीटी में.
जी.
वो 2020 का रिपोर्ट है, यूपी पोल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड ने बनाया है, रिवर एक्शन प्लान जो रिवर रेजुलेशन कमेटी के थ्रू, तो 2020 में प्रिपेयर्ड हुआ है ना.
जी जी जी.
आपको व्हाट्सएप किया हुआ मैडम.
ओके सर, थैंक यू.
मैं आई वाज आल्सो मेंबर ऑफ द कमेटी ना, रिवर यूपी स्टेट का रिवर रेजुलेशन कमेटी है, तो एसएमसीजी इज आल्सो वन ऑफ द मेंबर ऑफ
ओके
फॉर प्रिपरेशन ऑफ द एक्शन प्लान.
ठीक है. So if nobody has any comment, maybe I can make a summary of all the presentations. Is that okay? I don't know how many of the speakers are still left, because on my screen I can't see them, but so I'm just making a summary of what I've noted down for what all the speakers have made. The first speaker was Dr. Tagore from the SMCG, and he gave us a lot of details on all the data that is there for the river. Sorry, excuse me. He has listed what is the population around the river, what are the drains that are tapped, untapped, and a lot of detail has gone into for the Varuna and Assi river. He had a specific set of recommendations. One was the restoration of the catchment area, restoration of the tributaries that are for the Varuna river, to remediate the wastewater that is going into the tributaries using the constructed wetland system. He has also, pushed for having different biodiversity parks that will add to the rejuvenation, desilting of the river, and mainly monitoring the water quality to assess the health of the river. That should be done very regularly. So, is that okay, Tagorji? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Then we had Professor D. Mohan from BHU, and I think the main point of what Professor Mohan said was zero sewage discharge into the river, whether it is treated or untreated. That was what he has stressed on mainly. And his proposal or his recommendation was that we need to first make a separation of the black water to the gray water, and it is then easier to treat and reuse. Once you make this kind of a separation, the wastewater being generated is also very different. Its wastewater quality is also different. He has also said that we should not copy blindly what are the technologies available in the West, but explore what is more suited to the Indian terrain, like activated ponds or like constructed wetlands. And he has also proposed his some technology. He also talked about bio toilets, improving bio toilets, whether we can have like a community kind of toilets, and basically generation of lesser waste that can be pumped into the river. So that was Dr.
Yes.
That was Dr.
Our next parallel session is going on. This environmental.
So we are just ending, Dr. Singh. We are just ending.
Yeah, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, I saw the discussion going on, and there were. I know professors are difficult persons, and to handle with professors are really difficult job. But then they give you some feedback, whatever they have been doing, and they have a feeling kind of thing. Tomorrow. Madam, I am audible?
Now, yes, sir.
Yeah. So tomorrow we are going to have the recommendation session in the afternoon.
Okay.
There we expect that churning out all aspects which have been given to you, and the Central Pollution Control Board's position on planning, and the expert views which has been given by your own Neeri's side, and Professor Shankar has presented his version. He has given some sort of cost calculation also on that. What should be our recommendation? Let me share with you. We in Varanasi, we are living in a very responsible position. IIT BHU has its own responsibility in terms of its social obligation towards Ganga. At the same time, it is Prime Minister's constituency. So I have drawn attention from all, national and international experts, what should be our recommendation. So in tomorrow's session, I will expect that we have a summary from you.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that at least for this river Varuna and Assi, we have a line of action. And then for other 5 rivers or tributaries of river Ganga in this region of the country, how we are moving. So these 2 rivers will be serving as a kind of model for us. So thank you very much for a very nice cooperation from your side and your, well merited presentation which you made. And even although I saw that Dr. Vidyarthi had joined, but then he could not could not continue. So the entire responsibility remained with you, and I'm really thankful to you that you have spared so much time for us, and you will be there with us for a long time to come. So nice, and let me express my thanks to Dr. Rakesh Kumar sir also. He has been a constant source of inspiration and guidance for us. He has been working with us, and he has visited in person to IIT BHU. We developed this our treatment systems, and we are working closely for that. So the whole objective remains serving for river Ganga via this Varuna and Assi rivers. So thank you once again, and let us join tomorrow to give a final recommendation from our side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.